Boom, welcome to the Sebs Show, everybody. It's your boy Sebs, and we're live here with my co host Gib, returning back from Mexico. Gib, how
What's
was
going, guys?
Mexico?
Oh, it was awesome. Awesome.
For sure. It was good to get away from the cold here.
You know what? It was great weather, man.
Yeah,
Can't
for
wait to get
sure.
back to some fights.
Exactly, man. It's good to have you back. Talk about the fights this weekend. UFC 222 probably shouldn't be a pay per view, if I'm being honest, but I do like it. It has some fun matchups from top to bottom. So I do like this card and made some bets, and there's potentially maybe two more bets I might make. So this is a fun card for me, actually. So we'll start from the bottom here. We got Jordan Johnson, 8-0, taking on Adam Milstead, 8-1. Millsad dropping down from heavyweight to light heavyweight here. He's never fought at light heavyweight before. Jordan Johnson, beast of a wrestler, Division 1 wrestler from Iowa State. Just a monster. All American. Um, I know I'm saying a lot, but I'm just thinking of like more things. Like Jordan Johnson, the way he just rides you. In a fight, like wrist rides and everything.
Hmm.
Just classic wrestler. He's 8-0. Like I said, trains. I believe he trains at the lab still.
Yep.
And his last one against Marcel Fortuna wasn't as decisive as his first win against Luis Enrique de Silva. But regardless, I think this guy's making an impact. He's good fundamentally. Throws a nice jab, works behind his jab well. Um, I like him a lot here. And pretty much this is another fade on Adam Millsat. I think this is a bad matchup for him. First of all, we saw
Yeah.
him have trouble with wrestlers against Curtis Blades. I'm not saying Johnson's as powerful as Curtis Blades, but he will give him problems wrestling, I believe. I think
Yeah.
Johnson will give a lot of people in the division problems wrestling. He's one of the better wrestlers when he tends to wrestle. Um, sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, when he tends to wrestle, he's one of the better wrestlers. But Adam Mo said is just he doesn't put everything together very well. He went to like life and death with Chris De La Rocha before I think ultimately knocking him out. In the what the oh I thought it was the third round in the second round,
Second.
and then got a no contest with the Curtis Blades fight. But I think he gets a loss here against Jordan Johnson. Man, the guy's just not fundamentally sound. His boxing's just horrible. He doesn't bring it all together very well. He tends, like I said, his wrestling isn't there yet. So he's gonna get ragdolled, in my opinion, by Jordan Johnson. He's gonna get like ridden pretty bad.
Yeah.
Um, I think Johnson's the better striker as well. If it stays standing, I think Johnson's the better fundamentally sound striker. But if if it goes to the ground, Johnson totally dominates the game there. He's like I said, he's Division 1 All American. He's just better wherever the fight goes, in my opinion. So I got 5 units on Jordan Johnson
Yeah.
at minus 277 to win 1.8 units. Yeah. How about you, Gib?
I,
What do
I
you think?
gotta agree with you on this one. After watching the Curtis Blade fight, it's no question why he went down in weight. A lot of the guys he's competing with at the heavyweight hit very hard, and in between those fast combos that he does throw from time to time, there is a bit of a power difference that a lot of guys can hit him with and kind of turn him. I think maybe his weight could come in handy in this fight and being a all around bit bigger. But he's not too big away from Jordan Johnson, only about an inch or two off. So, obviously it's more of a weight issue and kind of size, maybe width wise. But I mean, Jordan Johnson has great footwork. The guy really kind of entrances people, can get the decision if it goes on a little too long, knows how to work his opponents to be safe and get that decision. Has great submissions in the past. And if this heavy guy goes to the ground, it's going to take a lot of effort for him to get up. And like you said, Jordan Johnson's like a magnet. He sticks on you and, he works what he's good at. He can get those submissions. He hasn't got one in a while, but I mean, he could get one here. No chance how the fight, turns out. I think Jordan Johnson does it. But I mean, Adam Milstead does have a bit of a crack in him left, and he's been battered around a bit. But I mean, he's still pretty young. They're still about the same age anyway, so it's still a pretty fair fight. I still got Jordan Johnson just based off of his better boxing, better wrestling. He even kind of comes at you with some karate type kicks every now and then too.
Yeah, I think if he relies on his wrestling here, it's game over because his wrestling is just so much superior than Adam Milstead's. His ground game in general, like his jiu-jitsu is no joke as well. As you were saying, his submissions, he can grind out a submission or two as well. So watch out for Jordan Johnson this weekend, guys. I got 5 units on him. Next up, we got Cody Stamann taking on Brian Caraway. And I'm really, really liking my boy, not my boy Brian Caraway, my boy Cody Stamann. I'm liking Cody Stamann a lot here. Came through for me twice already against Tyrion Ware and then against Tom Duquesnoy. He's just a really good wrestler. Comes at you with that karate point fighting style, like where he's trying to just score points with his strikes and stuff. His kicks, he won't kick through you. He'll just kick and touch you, kind of. Very reminiscent of his corner, Darren Cruikshank, I believe, is his corner man at times. Trains at Michigan top team, so he has great partners to work around, and then he's working with the likes of Carol Rowe, who's a great boxing coach, works with Jared Brooks and whatnot. Working with a top level people, and I think he's fought like the better people as of, or he's been more active as of late at least. But I don't. When was Caraway's last fight? About a year and a half ago when he fought Aljamain Sterling.
Yeah, I give him props for that one though.
Yeah, for getting the win. It was like during the headlights kind of thing with Sterling, I believe. But
just being cautious.
I think Stamann's the real deal, and I think Brian Caraway, if he, pretty much, I think this fight's gonna stay standing because anything Brian Caraway does is he's gonna try and take Stamann down, and Stamann has the wrestling to negate that. And I believe this fight stays standing, and Stamann just picks apart and points at Brian Caraway while he does it, laughs at him and whatnot. And I got Stamann all day here. I know his Caraway's only losses recently. He's only lost to Rafael Sanson, and that was back in 2014. He's only fought Aljamain Sterling recent. That's not even recently. That's back in 2016 of May, so about a year and a half ago. And then he fought Eddie Wineland the year before that, 2015, July 25th, and not a very active fighter.
No.
Yeah. Not that's pretty much what I'm getting at. He's not very active. He was gonna fight against Jimmy Rivera, as it says here on Tapology. Why I like Tapology, it shows like who he was gonna fight. So it shows he was gonna fight Rivera at UFC Fight Night 103. Fight fell through because of his injury, and then he got injured again against Luke Sanders at Fight Night 123 later in the year last year, and I don't know, man. His striking is like nothing to behold. I don't think he's that good at striking, and then he only has success with guys that he takes down, and he can use his jujitsu on and work his wrestling. But I don't think he can do that to Cody Stamen here. So I got Cody Stamen out there. I got 3.16 units on Cody Stamen. At minus 158 to win 2 units. That's 3.16 units on Stamen, 158 to win 2 units. What do you got, Gib?
Well, I think Brian Kid Lightning Caraway has to literally show why he got that nickname, because I think that's the only real way to beat Cody Stamen. Cody Stamen is super impressive from his boxing, that he holds a lot of almost no effort KO power. Just has very natural hands. He's got very sneaky takedowns, and he's really good at going for your heels when he gets them, and pretty much pulls the rug right out under you. He's got a great front high kick. It's super sneaky. A lot of his stuff, a lot of his stance work, it's great. Brian Caraway was able to rely a lot on the basics to beat guys like Aljamain Sterling, who's a lot younger than him. Aljamain, I think, had a lot of the early fight when he had a good grappling position, but Caraway is really good at grappling too. So it was a bit much for him, and he ended up killing his arms, and I felt he couldn't really keep Brian Caraway close to him throughout the fight. And once the fight went to standing, Brian was able to kind of throw his jabs, pop his basic stuff, and point out an Aljamain Sterling who's still young and still killing the game. Off and on, that is. But Cody Stamen, I mean, he really only has one loss to his name, and he's been doing great as of lately with his last 2 wins. Whether it's a split or unanimous, he's still been standing and looking.
And that Duke and Wall fight shouldn't have been a split. Should have been unanimous decision. He won the rounds.
I guess, Tom Duquesnoy kind of had some more fights coming up, so maybe they wanted to give him the split to make it sound a little nicer, or maybe he kept close enough that the judges thought that he was in it. But I agree. I think he got ran around in that ring. And, Tyrion Ware as well, he couldn't touch him. And Tyrion Ware has a lot of power on him, much more than Brian Caraway, I would say. So I think Cody Stamen, it's a good fight for him, and I think Mr. Wonderful takes it.
That's it. Okay, so next up we got Mike Pyle in his retirement fight against Zach Otto. And anytime I hear the word retirement, man, it brings goosebumps to my body. I wish I heard it a little bit earlier in the week. I bet this on Sunday, and it came out Monday that he was retiring on the MMA Hour. I got 3 units on Zach Otto minus 232 to win 1.29 units. Possibility in increasing that. But Zach Otto just does stuff fundamentally correct at times. Obviously not in the Li Jingliang fight, but in his Kichi Kunimoto fight and his Josh Berkman fight, you can see him just work properly. He works fundamentally around his jab. Like he's a smart fighter. You can see the Kichi Moto fight too. He started to use his wrestling a little bit, or not that fight. Sorry, it was probably his Josh Berkman fight. He was using his wrestling a little bit more than when he was in the regional scene. He used it a lot, his wrestling, and that's something I wish he would go back to, especially in this fight. I think if he takes his fight to the ground, he has ultimately more. He's way better than Mike Pyle, I believe, if he's on top here. I don't think Pyle offers much off of his back, even though like he used to be sneaky back in the day. I think now he'll just get a little bit punched and
Yeah,
knocked out rather quickly. Not sure what he has left in his chin. He's been knocked out quite a bit as of lately by Alberto Mina and Alex Garcia. Also, Jordan Mee knocked him out. Matt Brown. He's had some knockouts, and he's knocked out a few guys too. T.J. Wahlberger and Sean Spencer. Um, but I think his time has come, so I got 3 units on Zach Otto here. How about you,
yeah.
Gib?
Well, I agree. Mike Pyle, he's a very tall fighter. At 6'1", he's normally taller than most guys he fights, which gives him a bit of an advantage that he's probably used time and time again with the experience. This will be his 41st fight, so which makes him one shy of having the exact amount of fights at his age is. He's 42. Um, Mike Pyle is really good at making the best of whatever situation comes to him. He's good at getting hit, and making wrestling takedowns while taking a really good knee to the body and kind of buckling, and still keeping a leg or still keeping his opponent off balance. He's had a lot of wars in his day, and he just can't take those big shots like we've seen him take early on. The 2 years off might shake off a bit of those jabs or those punches that tend to bring your neck back, but it can't be too many of them. And a lot of people's punches that land on Mike Pyle that do drop him, or kicks, or whatever it may be, are a lot of strikes that their opponent is just kind of throwing out there or set up really quick. And just as easy as they threw it, Mike Pyle tends to wobble, and then you're gonna see a fighter go red line and just go for the kill. And Mike Pyle really needs youth in order to shake a lot of that stuff off and keep fighting. But this is his last fight, so he's definitely gonna put it all out there. But don't be surprised if Zach Otto just goes in there and really just waits for his shot, because he is a very patient fighter. I tend to think that he stops a lot of times and gets lit up by just standing flat-footed, but he does know what punches to throw in those positions. And again, it just takes one or two to really tumble a bit of an aged fighter. They have experience, and they have been in a lot of situations where fighters don't exactly come back from, but it's going to take a lot to really show that he's a young Mike Pyle like he used to be. So we'll see what happens, but I think Zach Otto's got this.
Yeah, I believe so as well. I think Zach Otto has this, hence the reason I bet him. But
Yep.
yeah, moving along, I'll let you take this next fight: Hector Lombard versus CB Dalloway.
Well, Hector Lombard has been one of my favorite fighters to watch for a while. When I would watch the UFC a lot earlier, recently his skills have kind of come into question with a lot of fights that just aren't going his way. Now they are against a lot of high level competition. For example, Neil Magny, Johnny Hendricks, Dan Henderson. But again, these are guys that have their problems and have been beaten before. Maybe Neil Magny might be a little higher on that list because of his youth, but fighters like Johnny Hendricks and fighters like Dan Henderson were able to pull off wins against Hector Lombard, whereas Hector Lombard was going in there to generally beat them and had the favorite. He's got a great win over Nate Marquardt, which is hard to deny. It's a hard win to get. He normally beats guys up. Jake Shields. So, all of these we're talking in 2014. So, he's had a bit of a drought as of recent. So CB Dalloway seems like that fighter that he, is supposed to beat. Hector Lombard has that big, huge right hand, and he can really smash it with the left as well. He tends to bring his combos down and either interrupt yours or just keep walking forward with his hands down, slipping punches. He really tries to intimidate his opponents so that he can hit him up right on the dome with something big. CB Dollaway, I mean, he's still pretty good. He's got a lot of KOs in his repertoire. His last fight against Ed Herman was a decision, so it's a little iffy. And he lost against Nate Marquardt. So, it was quite a while ago in 2015, and it's been a while since that loss, but he has come back with that last win. I mean, it's still pretty close, but I would still take Hector Lombard here because he has lost quite a few times, but obviously he wants to get back on that train, and so does CB Dollaway. He wants to continue his train moving. I just don't think either of these fighters, off of a win, will get very much leeway into another fight that can either promote them towards a title or a title shot. It's kind of a money fight here. They're just it seems like it's just a collection. But I would probably take Hector Lombard on this one.
Yeah, I'm also gonna lean with Hector Lombard in this one, just like the judo experience and whatnot. I think it comes through. He's been on quite a losing streak as of late, but I think he gets the job done. Face heavy hitters like Dan Henderson and Anthony Smith. Also facing Johnny Hendricks, but that's probably not a prime Johnny Hendricks, or that's actually the best Johnny Hendricks has looked in a while when he faced Johnny Hendricks. And tough test against Neil Magny and stuff. So since moving up to middleweight, he's 0-3. Hopefully this is a fight that he wins. But CB Dollaway moving back down to middleweight after fighting at Herman at light heavyweight. CB Dollaway before it was on a losing streak as well. Like you said, to Nate Marquardt, Michael Bisping, Lyoto Machida. Before that, beating Francis Carmont and Cesar Rivera and stuff. But man, both these guys, it seems like they kind of need a win here, and I wouldn't doubt it if Hector Lombard gets cut with a loss. But I'm going with Hector Lombard here, hopefully for a win. I think he gets the job done with some without gassing. I think he gets the job done. Maybe with a knockout. Maybe, who knows? But
that is a huge problem.
Yeah, because he does gas quite a bit. So hopefully he gets the job done. Though I'm pulling for him.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next up is John Dodson versus Pedro Munoz, and this is a fight I really like. This is Pedro Munoz is a monster at jiu-jitsu. Gets those guillotines on you, and once he locks in his guillotine, it's good night.
How fast did he do that to Rob Font?
Yeah, and his guillotines are stupid quick. I want to count how many he has.
Well, 3 in his last 4 fights.
No, he didn't get a guillotine on Russell Doan.
On Justin Scoggins. Oh, he apparently did. Russell Doan? Or was it a different submission?
Thought it was an armbar, but
it could have been started out that way, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But
he's got quite a few. Guillotines are the thing.
He's nasty at them, I can't lie. But his striking still, he's working on his striking 100%. Against a guy like John Dodson, you can't be working on your striking and come in here and hope to win, because he'll expose you. John Dodson's quick with those pot shots that will get you out of there rather quickly, and he can explode at times and expose that chin that Pedro Munoz has, that he's shown in the Rob Font fight, even that he is a little bit chinny. Um, and not even the Rob Font fight. The was it? Yeah, it was the Rob Font fight. I believe so. Now I gotta check. What was this fight
Is it where
before
he
this?
got shook up a bit?
Yeah, I think it was Rob Font.
I'm pretty sure Rob Font tags him a few times.
Yeah, but I don't know. He just finds a way to get these fucking guillotines off on people, and he cinches them up and he gets the win. But I think John Dodson's gonna be too smart and too fast for the guillotine, and I think he's going to be too smart, too fast on the feet, and he's going to cause Pedro Munoz a lot of problems and disturb his offense. And John Dodson's going to get the win here.
Mm.
So I got 3.04 units on John Dodson at minus 152 to win 2 units.
I think since Pedro Munoz lost to Jimmy Rivera in 2015, he's been doing extremely well. It seems like he's learned a lot from that loss. It being a split decision, he went right into submitting his next two opponents, winning by decision, and then submitting his last opponent, which is Rob Font. Obviously, Rob Font proved his worth in the Thomas Almeida fight, so he's still, he's still not broken merchandise. This guy's, still pretty serious, and I think that speaks a lot on Pedro Munoz's fault. John Dodson obviously is a veteran in this one. He's been in there a lot longer. He's kind of had his ups and downs, but he is on the right track. I thought the Marlon Moraes fight was still very good. He presented him with a lot of challenges that I haven't really seen a lot of people present him with. Obviously, Pedro Munoz has to do a lot more than the boxing that he used to get Rob Font into that guillotine, because John Dodson will just be ready for it, like you said. But I think Munoz does have some interesting punches that he does throw in. He throws a lot of feints, and he's really good at feinting a left cross and then throwing over like a right hook, or the right cross and a left hook, kind of not really stance switching, but just ending up in that stance and throwing what he can. He's very good at kind of making you see one thing and giving you another, at least on the striking standpoint. It's going to be hard to catch John Dodson. The guy's super athletic. The guy can flip around. His balance is amazing, and it's hard to take someone like that down. But I think if Pedro can do it, he can put John Dodson in a lot of trouble that if he escapes from too many times, it could exhaust him. I think Pedro Munoz wins this. I think this one might actually go a little late into the fight. So either a decision or somebody wins in the third.
You see Pedro Munoz winning decision over Dodson?
Possibly, if Dodson just keeps scrambling and using lots of energy. If Pedro gets him in grapples or puts him up against fence, or starts to really pressure him. And again, he has to catch him first. You're right.
Have you ever seen Dodson tired?
No, but I mean, wrestling around with the wrong person can, and obviously Rob Font took some punches before he got submitted, but I think John Dodson could still take those punches and get wrestled, and back to the punches, back to the wrestling. Obviously, he's not gonna let that happen, but.
Well, he's the better wrestler of the two, without a doubt, 100%. Dodson's the better wrestler here. Maybe not the better jiu-jitsu player, but he's the better wrestler. So I think he can fend off any takedown, make this a standing fight, be smart, get the easy win here. I think this is easy money here for John Dodson. But next up is Daniel Darush versus Alexander Hernandez. I should take that one, buddy.
Well, again, not much on Hernandez. He's still quite new. I heard in an interview this is a bit of a last minute fight for him. He's coming off of when I believe on his last fight. He can be surprising with a lot of his kicks. He's like a kickboxing wrestler type guy. A lot of singles and a lot of diving kicks and kind of unorthodox stuff that works on that kind of local promotion scene. But I can see why he's being picked to go in there. He looks a little impressive. I mean, I don't think it'll be enough for him. I mean, Dariush is very impressive, and it's not something that is going to be an easy win at all. I mean, the guy's beaten James Vick, and James Vick, I think, is a very deadly puncher. It's his only real big loss. Other than that, he's pretty much been setting the UFC on fire. So this guy has taken down guys who are not broken merchandise, and before that, he beat Rashid Magomedov as well, another fighter who's doing very well as of now. So it's not like he's he needs to prove himself anymore. This guy is probably going to get into a lot of situations where being in the UFC and experience is going to be in Dariush's corner. I think he's taken him. I just don't see anything anything new that Dariush could be put up against that he might have a question mark above his head.
Yeah, I got Dariush all day here. The number's a little bit too big for me. It's at like minus 400 right now. To take a stab at him, but I past 300, I don't really see much value in lines. You got to be a special line to like maybe a little bit past 300. I'll take, but regardless, too big of a line to take here with Benil Darush. Fighting this guy, we're not sure who he is yet. We've seen him a few times on highlights and stuff for LFA 27, and kid's wild when he throws. If Darush can capitalize on anything, it's on that. It's the kid's inexperience and whatnot. He's never been in the big show or anything. I think Darush just capitalizes on that and pressures him and just really gives him a beating over the course of 3 rounds, if not finishes him in the second. But yeah, actually, I think he'll finish him in the second. I got Darush finishing him. So I think this is a rather quick fight, and I got Darush all day here. Next up, we got the phenom right here, Mackenzie Dern, taking on Ashley Yoder. And straight up, I got 5 units on Dern.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting for not waiting. I got 5 units on Dern with somebody later in the card, but yeah, very big on Dern here. I think this is a handpicked matchup for her facing Ashley Yoder, who initiates grappling exchanges, whatnot. If you guys don't know who Mackenzie Dern is, she's Brazilian Jiu Jitsu phenom. Her dad was a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu phenom as well. He's a legend. And she got her black belt at 19 years old. Very dangerous. She's the girl who hit that omoplata with rear naked choke on Montana De La Rosa. Her hands have been improving. She works at the MMA lab down in Arizona with everyone like Sean O'Malley,
Yeah,
Jocko
the lab.
Kroos, Benson Henderson's in her corner a lot of the time, along with John Crouch. She's just been and she's her. A lot of people talk shit about her stand up, but her stand up's been getting a lot better. She's been throwing that high kick a lot. Her overhand right's been looking good, and when she comes in, she's a big straw weight.
Big threat.
On the floor, good luck. It's just a matter of time till she cinches something up. She is too good on the floor, she would tap out a lot of guys on the floor, actually. So I think it's just a matter of time until she taps out Ashley Yoder, who actually initiates grappling exchanges and where she feels comfortable the most. I think she's actually a better striker than Ashley Yoder as well, so she can do it there. But I think just the fact that she can get the job done within a second on the floor is just like incredible. Like as soon as this hits the floor, I'm gonna feel very good about my bet. So I got 5 units on Dern with somebody else later in the card. Yep.
Yeah.
So we're looking good. How about you, Gib?
You know what? I had to look up Montana De La Rosa. You're right. That was a good fight, and you know she's won her last. So again, another fighter who is beating somebody who's still doing well. Um, she obviously she's going in to continue her winning streak. She is deadly, and she is getting good on the stand up. I think she has a good attitude because Mackenzie Dern has a lot of good forward footwork that can, you know, tend to make people back up a little too much. Once they hit their back on the cage, it's grappling town, and she's too good at it. She can get away with throwing big knees to the head, and you generally don't want to bring your leg off the ground, especially if you're grappling. But I mean, for her, it doesn't really matter. She's landing these knees without being really abused much or being bullied about it. She connects a lot of good inside punches. It does take her a while to find that jab if she's missed for a while. And she does have that crazy overhand right that does find its place. She's good at arm bars, rear nakeds. I mean, on you don't even have to say. You know, the spider monkey, Ashley Yoder, has an interesting style because she is southpaw, and she'll tag you with that jab if you let her. She has a pretty good leg kick, and you know, she really is a spider monkey when she gets into certain positions and starts to work. She had a bit of a tough time against Angela Hill, so it shows that there are some weaknesses in her game. She showed a bit of weakness against Justine Kish. These are both unanimous decisions. No matter which way you kind of look at it, maybe the Justine Kish fight could have been a little closer, but she does tend to you know, go right into the jabs and leg kicks, which are good combinations. She's a good combo thrower. She normally keeps them kind of to low combos, nothing crazy, but she does have a bit of a size advantage on this, and she is a bit of a grappler herself. But I mean, you can't deny Mackenzie Dern's run that she has here. A win is definitely going to cement her in and set her up for even bigger fights after. Ashley Yoder is going to have to really push to get this, and the 2 losses on her name right now, you know, it could be the motivation that, you know, she's going to keep pushing. But I actually have Mackenzie Dern on this. I think she can get past the southpaw. It'll be tricky, but I think she does do it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Mackenzie Dern's a problem, guys, and she'll be a star in this division in no time, I believe. Next up, we got Kat Zagano taking on Caitlin Vieira and Gib.
Well, Caitlin Vieira, again, no losses. She's still wrecking it. I really liked her fight with Sarah McMahon. You do not just submit Sarah McMahon like that. You know, she's been, you know, she is kind of a live by the sword, die by the sword type of fighter, but it's not an easy one to get, especially someone who can give you a lot of trouble on the stand-up, too. She beat Ashley Evans Smith, who, you know, let's not forget, she's still killing. She's still doing pretty good in the UFC. She is having rough goes as of now, but you know, Kat Zingano is familiar to it as well. She's lost her last 2. She's just coming back for this one. It's been a while since we seen Kat in the game. She's still a pretty good striker. She's still a real good scrapper, and I liked her fight against Amanda Nunes. I think that's what everybody talks about, as well as the Misha Tate fight. These are two fights against two high level fighters who were both champion at one time, just didn't happen to be the champ when Kat took them on. And she really did prove herself against these two fighters who look really good to this day. I would not mind her fighting Amanda Nunes, and I think if she does beat Caitlin Vera, that could be talk of what happens, unless Amanda Nunes takes that cyborg fight, which I would not agree with. I think Caitlin Vera has again, super good submission. She's won her last three. She doesn't plan on losing anytime soon. It's going to be a hard fought win. This is a very close fight because I think Caitlin Vera can lose in the striking department a little bit, but because Kat's no slouch, if you come at her fast like Amanda Nunes did and waste your gas tank, I mean, it's not going to work. If you take her on calmly, you'll have a chance. And if Caitlin Vera does that, she will win. I think it's close. I might just slightly go for Caitlin Vera on this one.
Yeah, I'm siding with Caitlin Vera as well. Um, Simply because like she's just been looking good over her last few fights. The Ashley Evans Smith fight, the Kelly Fashol's fight, and especially the Sarah McMahon fight where she finished her. Um, Kat Zagano, we haven't seen her since UFC 200, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and where she lost to Juliana Pena before that, we haven't seen her since she fought Ronda Rousey. So quite a bit of, and she lost in four. Holy fuck! I forgot that she lost in 14 seconds to Ronda Rousey.
What's your opinion on these 2-year layoffs before fights? I mean, obviously fighters get injured and contracts don't go through at certain times. I mean, do you think the guy who has the better rest days and can train when he wants beats the guy who's already fighting, or do you think that guy who's already fighting accumulates a lot of damage that might be just waiting for that guy to get off the couch to answer the call of duty?
No, I think the 2-year layoffs aren't a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
You should be active.
Yeah.
But yeah. Sorry, her here. I don't like this spot for her. I think Caitlin Vera will be able to light her up on the feet, and I think she's actually going to be able to handle her on the ground as well. So I got Caitlin Vera here. Potential bet actually with Caitlin Vera. Um, if I like what I see on tape, I'm gonna finish doing the tape today on Caitlin Vera. So if I like what I see, I'm probably gonna pull the trigger. I still got a couple Bellator plays that I want to make, but yeah, and then hopefully we got one more that hopefully I'm gonna look into. But I do like Caitlin Vera here. I side with her. All right, next up we got Stefan Struve taking on Andre Arlovsky. And I'm leaning Stefan Struve here potentially for a bet as well. Andre Arlovsky's just so chinny, man. He in his last fight, I put 5 units I think on Albini. I thought Albini was gonna knock him out. Big mistake by me. He got a big upset victory there. And then against Marcin Tybura, they destroyed him, and then where he got knocked out by Nagano. Oh, this guy's taking a beating, man. Barnett, Alistair, Stipe. He's taking quite a beating over his career, and I think now he's training at ATT, I believe. And Stefan Struve still training at Hard Knocks 365 with Henry Hooft. Outside with Stefan Struve here. He's the better striker overall. I think he's going to be better in the clinch game on the fence. He's a very he likes to work in the clinch against the fence with his how tall he is, and he works his underhooks pretty well. Um, his submission game is also always a threat. He's always threatening with submissions when on the ground, whether it be on top or on bottom. And I just think he's a dangerous fighter. I got Struve here, man. Potentially a bet. How about you?
I think that's a good bet. I like Steven Struve. He beat Stipe Miocic before belts were really involved. I think that's big. I think if you can take out anybody who's a big name later on, I mean that has you has you left with a name on your resume that you can pretty much bring up when you win these big fights or when you get into close proximity to getting 2-3 wins in a row. Obviously, Andrei Arlovsky is a bit of a setup fight for him. I've had Andrei Arlovsky picked to lose in previous fights, and the guy showed me up. It's hard to actually bet against him because the guy loses every fight that I do pick him, and then the one time I'm going against him, he wins. So it's a weird little thing here. But I mean, Steven Struve, I think he's doing really good, even with the loss, because he had racked up 2 wins before that by knockout and submission. It's I guess they have a weird dynamic. They're both extremely tall. Steven Struve is actually 7 foot, so it's going to be a crazy height difference. Normally, when I see Arlovsky fight, it's guys who are way smaller than him, or a little shorter. Like I think Tybura was quite a bit shorter, but they were kind of close. I think Struve is waiting for this one. He just wants someone to kick. But I mean, Arlovsky still has those skills, even if he does get chinny at times. In the heavyweight division, you're definitely going to be chinny if guys like this are beating on you. So it's a tough call. I'm going with Steven Struve anyway. I really do hope this fight kind of shows the worst of Struve and maybe even propels him a little bit higher up in the heavyweight rankings. I'd like to see him fight a few top names. I actually wouldn't even mind if he fought Tybura. Actually, I think that would be a pretty cool matchup, or even like a rematch against
Volkov.
Yeah, and why not? So I got Struve on this one. I mean, hey, Andre can come back though. He was surprising last fight, so
Yeah, definitely surprising last fight, which tempts me to stay away from this one. But I think ultimately I'll pull the trigger on Stefan Struve before fight night. Yeah. Next up, we got Sean O'Malley taking on Andre Soccer Mom, as he calls him, Andre Stukumtath. So, Gib, I'll let you start off on this one.
Andre Succumbsi has a bit of a weight style to him. He's always in range to land, and it has that flat-footed style because when he hits you with anything, it's with all of his body weight, and it's gonna hurt you. Luke Saunders experienced that because we had seen Luke Saunders being able to play with a lot of his opponents up until that fight. He was kind of able to maneuver guys around, kind of kite them, really bring them where he wanted to be, kind of let a little line out there and then reel them in. But Sukumtas, can't say his name right. Is one of those Sukumtas is one of those guys who he knows what punches he can land, and he's very confident. And when he does land right on the button because he can. Even in fights with Alejandro Perez or Morales, he lands his fair share of punches, even if it takes him a little while to set up. The problem being is he just can't chase those successes and put more and more punches together for that big KO over guys that he kind of has to catch. And Sean O'Malley is one of those guys who you really do have to be ready for anything. The guy throws very deadly stuff at people. He's very unpredictable. He's got a very unique stance to him. The guy fights as if as if it really is, life or death. It's all on the line. Um, when punches are being thrown, he's not as calm as the other, but I mean, he's swinging right with him. I think the Tyrion Ware fight really showed how good he looks, because Tyrion Ware was it was a bit of a grind fest, but Sean O'Malley was able to beat him, spamming a lot of single shots whenever they were there, and he looks good. I mean, he's always landing that clean shot, uppercuts, weird kicks, and that can throw a lot of people off. Talk shit while he fights, and it can get very difficult and very high stress for a lot of fighters. So Succumbsy's really has to calculate his punches properly in this one and start putting them together more and more as he gets them, because it won't be one or two punches that gets him this fight. He's going to have to put together a lot more. I don't think that one punch he landed on Luke Saunders could knock Sean out, because Sean just seems to take him like Tic Tacs. But yeah, I mean, you better be ready when Sean comes at him again, because then he's going to be in range for more of Andre's shots, and that's when it can get deadly for Sean O'Malley. This kid is getting a really good UFC push, and I can see him winning maybe another time after this and getting a belt chance. Hell, even after this one, they could throw him into the division and have him fight for a belt or something. It's an interesting fight, but I think it's close. I think Sean O'Malley wins it with just the uniqueness alone that he has. But I think he could go into some danger later on as he shows off more and more of his style, and maybe fighters see things working on him and see kind of a better way to approach him. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely a possibility. You guys, give me a second here. I got my computer dying.
Right under the co-main event. It's a big fight.
Yeah, okay. So can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so with the Sean O'Malley fight, I think he showed he needed a lot of improvement against Tyrion Ware in the second round, where he started to gas. But other than that, the kid found like a second win in the third round, and he just put it on Tyrion Ware. His striking is something else. He's very, very like dynamic, very creative on his feet. You remember when we interviewed him, he was saying how he doesn't even think in there when he's throwing strikes. He throws whatever. Like I just like a fighter like that. He's very, very confident
and natural. Yeah.
Yeah, he's naturally confident, man. This guy's fucking. One day I think he's gonna be a star. This guy needs to work. He just needs to work on his wrestling a little bit more, Sean, and that's it. But man, if you're looking for the new Nick Diaz or something, this kid's not far. He's with his marijuana robe and everything. He went to open workouts, I think, in his marijuana robe. He's a fucking joke.
Unembedded, you could tell he's just baking and playing video games.
Yeah.
And the embedded crew are probably pissed that they just have so much footage of him sitting down.
Yeah.
But you got to get up and go do something.
Sukum Toth in his last fight knocks out Luke Sanders. Looks incredible. Do I think he can pull that off here? Yeah, he can.
Yes.
That punch was and super strong. So I can see him pulling that off here, especially the way Sean keeps his hands down. But I don't think Sean gets picked apart striking here. I think Sean holds his own, and actually like pushes the pace here and wins another decision. I think he does the job here, and just uses his kicks and his range and his distance to find, or his range to find the distance, and he works from there. I think he's one of the better fighters that fight off their back foot. He's very good when he's getting pressured, and he's got some crazy head movement too. So, he's got a funky style, man. When he's throwing kicks and whatever, back fists, anything. So I think this is a tough matchup to call, but I got Sean O'Malley here. All right, moving to the co-main event. Um, we got. I think it's the co-main event. Is it?
Yep.
Yep. Frankie Edgar versus Brian Ortega, and I got 5 units on Frankie Edgar, and that's the other parlay piece to Mackenzie Dern. So 5 units on Edgar and Dern at plus 101 to win 5.04 units. Max bet to win 5 units to win 5.04. Um, what can I say, man? I think Edgar's the way better boxer. I think he's a way better wrestler. I think he's the way better striker, way better movement. He has an unlimited gas tank. We've seen Brian Ortega gas a little bit. We've seen Brian Ortega been outstruck multiple times, and he's never been the one to outstrike people. He always falls down on the scorecards and then gets like a miracle submission. I don't see that
Yeah.
shit happening here. I don't see him. I don't see Frankie going for an ill-advised takedown, which results in a guillotine, which is like possibly the only way I can see Frankie losing is going for an ill-advised takedown, which results in a guillotine. Boom. Other than that, I think he's safe. Um, he gets a 30-27 here on the scorecards, just picking apart Brian Ortega. He knows what he has to do, and I think he does it. I think he hands Ortega his first loss here. He's the way better striker, man. He has the wrestling to defend any shot that Brian Ortega throws at him, and working with Mark Henry, Ricardo Almeida, getting ready for Max Holloway. I think it's Frankie Edgar's time, man.
Yeah.
And I think he shows why he's one of the best fighters. And like my boy Kelton said, he's an uncrowned champ of the 145 division.
Absolutely.
My boy Max Holloway has something to say about that. But this guy's been fighting there, not fighting at 145, but fighting like he's just a veteran of the game, you know. And I think he deserves a title shot more than anyone right now. So I think he gets the job done. This is a very risky taking the fight on short notice against Brian Ortega, but I think he gets the job done and he takes out Brian Ortega here. How about you?
I agree with that statement. He really is an uncrowned, pretty much champion. He only really seems to have problems with a few fighters, like Jose Aldo and Benson Henderson. He's one of those guys that certain styles will just have his number, but generally he beats everybody else. Chad Mendes, Uriah Faber, Cub Swanson, Jeremy Stevens, and these are all guys who were still, well, other than Uriah Faber, all guys who were still around, still killing it. Maybe even Chad Mendes is out of that one, but again, he's still wrecking guys who are doing well. I mean, Jeremy Stevens just knocked out Josh Emmett, so he's absolutely wrecking the game. And Frankie Edgar has been in a lot of situations before. He's a wrestler. Brian Ortega might not be able to get happy with that guillotine and put it on. He was able to put it on Cub in the first round, and you really saw Cub looking scared because he was in a bad position. The round kind of ended and saved him a little bit, and he got the guillotine anyway in the second round. So I thought that was very impressive by Brian Ortega. He has a very interesting style, but I don't think it's anything different from what Frankie's seen before or hasn't already encountered. Obviously he has beaten his fair share of fighters too, like Thiago Tavares and Clay Guida. So, this guy's has been killing it in the UFC. It's a big fight, and I think that Frankie Edgar or even Brian Ortega after this fight are probably in title contentions, if not, give them an interim or ready to fight for an interim if Max doesn't want to fight. So I think this is going to be an interesting fight. I do pick Frankie Edgar. He's I guess a little bit up there out of the two if I look at it, but it's still very close because Brian Ortega's submission game I think is super tight, but so is Frankie's. And if fighters are giving him a hard time, he's normally able to take guys down and make them almost nulled. When Cub Swanson was giving him quite a bit of trouble, that Cub was giving a lot of people back in 2014. He was able to take him down constantly throughout the fight and eventually get a neck crank submission on him by just barely by the end at like 4 minutes 50 seconds or something. So he has submission game too, and he's going to have to really worry about Frankie Edgar's stand-up as well. It's more experienced and it's been to places. Brian Ortega really has to knock him with something big and take him off balance enough to get his sneaky stuff in and, maybe go for that big ground pound or something like that. It's still going to be a tough fight, and it's not going to get brought out easy, but I think Frankie Edgar wins this.
Yeah, and just training with Mark Henry pays dividends, man. The guy's a wizard. He is, and his top pupil, Frankie Edgar. You guys will see, man. Just he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt as well, man. He's no joke on the floor. So look for Frankie Edgar here to make a statement. In my opinion, I think that's what he's gonna set out to do. You saw what he did to Yair Rodriguez when a lot of people, including myself, counted him out. You saw what he did against Jeremy Stevens, and Jeremy Stevens is at the top of his game right now, 1-3 in a row. This is it's a big fight for Frankie, but I think he gets the job done. I think he gets the job done with ease. I'm looking for a nice W. So 5 units on Frankie and Frankie Edgar, Mackenzie Dern plus 101 to 15.01 units. And to our main event of the evening, Cyborg versus Kunitskaya. Pretty much how I see it is Cyborg is gonna knock this girl out in the second round. I don't know what else to say, man. I don't know how to break down a fight that's gonna last longer than I'm breaking it down.
Yeah.
Like I don't see this girl coming with any problems for Cyborg. I see Cyborg just dolling with her and just playing with her until knocking her out, first or second round knockout. The odds are ridiculous. She's nearly a minus 2,000. She's like minus 1,600 right now, but whatever. She's something crazy right now. Paying nearly nothing. So I don't know. Minus 1,600 favorite. That's a pretty insane one. I think I'm gonna go out on a limb and say she wins. Yeah, no, but
In spectacular fashion.
yeah, I think she definitely gets the job done and retains her featherweight championship. But let's see a real fight. Let's see her versus Megan Anderson or her versus Amanda Nunes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see a real fight. Let's see a real fucking fight.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, none of this Unikonut Sakaya coming from Invicta as a bantamweight champion. Like none of this bullshit anymore. Like let's see real fights for Cyborg, actual competitors for her.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if it's this time of year already, I mean, it's another Cyborg fight. These normally go the exact same way that every Cyborg fight goes. A lot of girls think they can do what they want. A lot of girls, I'm sure have plans, but I mean, once you're in the ring and this girl starts moving around, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to get any sort of effective punch or kick off that either doesn't get shrugged off or doesn't get countered by an absolute animal throwing extremely fast and sharp, deadly punches at you that have a lot of pressure to them. I mean, I don't really have to describe Cyborg. She's pretty much the perfect female fighter if you had to get a clay model and build her up. Just muscles everywhere. She's able to have that really scary Tyson style type head movement. She's got Muay Thai kicks, great jiu-jitsu, good ground pound, great wrestling. Spars rounds of Clarissa Shields. Has only really lost one fight ever, and it was, even if you go look at it, it's still pretty close. And I don't know. Christine Sauber doesn't really get hit, and if she does, it's when she barely expects it. But that just means you're going to be out a little quicker than you anticipated, because she'll just chase you even more. The Holly Holmes fight was a good. I guess a good blueprint if you want to start looking at things that are effective, or start looking at maybe some weaknesses. But I mean, you're going to need a body that can compete at the level that she can, that's about the same size and can do a lot of the same things. And it's hard to find, especially when you're bringing somebody from an Invicta league that, is kind of still working on things. She's 28, she's close to 30. She does have some impressive kicks. Yana does a lot of these karate type moves. They're very interesting. She throws a lot of single kicks. She can throw a lot of the same kick, like a lot of like a leg kick, and then the exact same leg kick, but maybe even a little bit more power clicked onto it. But again, if you're going to waste that time doing it to Cyborg, you're just going to get checked, and she's going to move in and she's going to throw punches. I can't see Yana winning in a lot of situations here, because in between I just see her getting beaten up, whether it's grappling, whether it's boxing, whether it's kickboxing. It's a very, very tough go. And you also have to have stamina. But I would probably give her the best advice I could, and keep spinning, spin to win, keep going for big kicks, keep going for big moves, try to make Christine work, and maybe make her make a mistake and continue to put the pressure. But it's just a matter of how long you can put that pressure until she catches you, and then you got to worry about balancing after that big hit and trying to deal with whatever she's putting pressure on you with, whether it's against the cage or going for takedowns. She's going to make it really rough, and if you're not ready, you're going to get hurt. I think Sauberg wins this, but I mean, Yana's going to need a lot of skill and a lot of precision to pull this win off.
Yeah, I believe so too. She's going to need a miracle here. So I don't see that happening. We're pretty much done here, but just want to touch, like, who do you think Cyborg faces when she wins, or what happens here?
I don't know. You'd have to bring someone in. At least that's what it's looking like. I mean, that's why they're bringing Yana in. But I mean, this is the wrong person to do it.
Yeah, this might be one of her easiest matchups to date.
Unless she fights Gabby Garcia or Nunes in like a super fight.
Gabby Garcia.
Why not?
That's her friend.
Well, I mean, I don't see anyone close. They do train together, but I mean, if the money's right, why not let them get in the octagon together and settle on a weight?
Because
Gabby's huge.
Gabby Garcia is 300 pounds and on every steroid you can imagine.
Well, put Cyborg on a few more and we'll even it out.
Fuck. All right.
Or hell, maybe even bring in Ashley Evans Smith. I mean, she has skill beating another guy. She beat that Fox guy, no?
Oh yeah, she did.
So I mean, she beat someone close to roided up and kind of iffy. So I mean, she could, but she's got to get through this girl first. So.
And that's what I'm saying. So till next time, guys. I think Cyborg has us, and we already got my boy Frankie Edgar, Mackenzie Dern, Jordan Johnson, Cody Stamen, who else? Zach Otto, and yeah, I said John Dodson.
Yep.
There we are. Our fight picks of the week. Cheers to next week, guys.
Cheers, UFC 222.
Oh, and it won't be next week. It's 2 weeks from now is our next podcast. It'll be
Yeah.
UFC London. We got a week break in between to do some nice tape studying in between, and that's Volkov versus Verdum. I am leaning for Doom, so hopefully I get my playoff in time. And yeah, UFC 222. Look forward to it this weekend, guys. Take care,
All right.
everyone.
Have a good one, guys.